Hello?
Hi, teacher. It was your internet or it was my internet?
I
Because
think it was, I think it was mine. I don't know if it was my internet this time. I think it just, I don't know, just left it. Hello?
so now I can't hear anything. I think that it's my internet too, maybe.
I can hear you.
I miss your internet.
Is it?
Ah, oh.
Okay. Are your cameras on or is it that I can't see? Hello?
Now it's on.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much. Okay, guys. Can you see my screen then? Yep.
Yes, miss.
Okay. So we're going to continue today working on the speaking section. Does anyone remember how many tasks we have in the speaking? Who remembers how many tasks there are in the speaking section?
There are 4 tasks in the speaking session, I think.
Yes, exactly. And there are 4. Thank you. So today we're going to be working on the second one. We already worked on the first one last class, and today we'll move on to the next one. So the second question is an integrated task, which means that you're pretty much just going to have to do one thing, which is summarize something that they give to you. You won't have to give your opinion anymore. You won't have to talk about yourself or what you think. Everything you're going to do is summarize something. Okay, so you're just going to have to summarize something. Now let's read what you actually need to do. The first thing that you guys are going to do, the first step, is read. You're going to have to read a short passage. It's going to be a university letter or an announcement. So everything that you have here is going to happen in a certain American university, okay? So you will read a short letter or an announcement. You will have exactly 45 seconds to read. So only 45 seconds so that you can read. And after you read, you will listen to a conversation. Listen to a conversation that's usually about 1 minute long, and that's it. Okay, you read a letter, you listen to a conversation, and then you get the question. You're gonna have 30 seconds or half a minute to prepare your response, and later 1 minute exactly to speak and answer the question and summarize what you read and what you heard in the conversation. So again, you read a letter, 45 seconds, you listen to a conversation, 30 seconds to prepare, and 1 minute to summarize. Do you have any questions so far about this overview of the structure? Is this okay? Yep. Okay.
Yes.
So without further ado, why don't we just start with one example? Okay, we're gonna start looking at an example. So this is what you would have to read. Okay, this is the announcement that I was telling you about. Remember, you get 45 seconds to read this. The first thing that I want you to do is read the title. You always have a title in there. So for example, right now we have music coming to cafeterias. Okay, so that's interesting. We're gonna see what this is about. Now, in this text, you will have 3 things that I want you to remember, and it's always gonna be the exact same thing. 3 specific elements that you're looking for when you read. You need to be active when you're reading, and you need to be specifically looking for these 3 things. The first one is going to be a change. So this university is announcing a certain change, or sometimes a student of the university is proposing a change. So they could propose anything, like maybe changing the menu of the cafeteria, or eliminate a class, or add a class, or have a new game room, or whatever. So you have a change that is either being proposed or announced, and you have 2 reasons in favor of the change. So 2 reasons why this change is a good idea, okay? Those are the 3 things that you're always gonna find in the reading. So we're gonna read and we're gonna identify those 3 elements from this reading. Is there anybody who please like to read? Anyone who wants to read this text? It's not really that long.
Me? I would like to read.
Okay, then thank you so much. You can go.
All right. Music coming to cafeterias. Mary Dixon, director of the Student Life Committee, announced yesterday that beginning next semester, the cafeterias will broadcast classical music during meal times. Music will foster a more relaxed atmosphere, said Dixon. Students' lives are hectic, and mealtimes provide important opportunities to take a break and catch up with friends before moving on to the next class. At Dixon, we're also hoping that if we provide the music, students will upload their personal music device, their Walkmans or MP3 players or whatever, and spend more time talking to each other. When students have their headphones on, they're not connecting with each other.
Okay, thank you so much. So I want you guys to tell me what this is about. First of all, it's an announcement, right? Because it's coming from the university itself. This is something that the director of the Student Life Committee announced. So this is something that you may have maybe in the university newspaper or something. It's an announcement, an official one. Now, can anyone tell me what exactly they are announcing? What is the change that I told you about? What is going on or what is going to happen?
The music classic, the cafeterias have a classic music. Yes,
Yeah. Exactly. They will have classical music, right? They will broadcast classical music. You're totally right. So they will basically play or broadcast classical music when students are having lunch, probably. So that is the change. Perfect. Now, what about the reasons? We need 2 reasons, right? You always have 2 reasons. Can anyone tell me what the first reason is? Why are they going to do this? Play classical music.
Music will foster a more relaxed atmosphere.
Okay, great. Yes, that's the first one. It will foster a more relaxed atmosphere. So they want their students to be more relaxed when they have these breaks. What about the second one? What's the second reason?
The student come to talk with the other student.
Exactly. Yes, students are going to connect more with each other. They're going to talk to each other more, probably, if they play this music, according to the university, right? So that's basically it. Remember, this is always going to be the structure. I'm not going to lie, sometimes it's not going to be something official from the university, but something proposed by a student. We're going to see an example too, but it's still the same thing. They will propose a change and they will give you 2 reasons why it should be done. So any questions so far as to what you need to identify when you read? Is it okay? Okay. So maybe if you guys are gonna take notes, which you can do, and I suggest you do too, you're only gonna write down a few words. Okay, so something like this. I'm gonna do it here. Okay. So something like this. In your notes, you're gonna write down in a space from your paper, you're gonna write down first things, some things for the change. So in this case, the change is that the cafeterias are gonna broadcast classical music, right? So you can, take a few notes, a few keywords from that idea. And then you have the 2 reasons that the university gives. So in this case, from the reading, right? The university is going to be the reading. The first reason is that they want students to relax. So I'm just going to write down the word relax. And the second is that they want them to connect more. And that is it. Those are your keywords, right? Those are just 4 words that you have. You don't really want to focus on the details from the reading. You don't care about who announced this or when it was announced or when this change is going to happen or those examples. You don't care about any of those details, okay? The only things that you care about are those 3 things, the change and the 2 reasons, as summarized as it can be, okay? That's when you read. Look at how your notes are not supposed to be that long. Any questions about that so far? Okay. Now what's next? Once you read that announcement, you're gonna listen to a conversation. Remember that was the step number 2. So in this conversation, you're gonna hear 2 students that are gonna be arguing or discussing about this announcement. They're gonna be saying what they think about the announcement. The thing is, one of these 2 students, only one of them, is gonna have a very strong position about that change. This student could be against the change and be like, that's a total waste of time. I don't like this idea at all. Or the student could also be in favor, which is usually less common, but it could happen. The student can be like, I totally agree with the university on this. So you need to first thing identify the opinion that this student has, if it's against or in favor of the change. And then you need to identify 2 reasons that the student gives to hold that opinion. So the student is going to give you other 2 reasons why the student has that certain opinion, either against or in favor, okay? So you will have 2 more reasons coming from the student, either against the change or in favor of it. You just need to listen and pay attention for those. You have to take notes while you're listening to the conversation. You can do it in the same way that we were doing for the university. So you have the student. Here you're gonna write down the opinion, against or in favor, and the first reason, the second reason. You need to be a bit more detailed, so don't just write down one word the way I did. For the university, it's supposed to be summarized, but for the student, you need to talk more about the student, so you're gonna need more notes. Okay, so anything you consider important from reason 1 and 2, you write it here. Any questions about that, about what you need to do when you're listening? Are you ready to do it? Yep.
Yep.
Okay. So I'm going to play the audio clip. You're going to listen to this conversation. Remember, you need to identify if the student is in favor or against, and the 2 reasons why, right? Why he's in favor or against. Let's listen. Please take notes, don't forget.
Now listen to 2 students discussing the university's plan.
Did you read this article? Are they serious?
Yeah, I think so. Why?
Well, first of all, a lot of kids aren't looking for a relaxing break at lunchtime. They like to study while they eat, especially if they have exams coming up or some assignment they have to get done.
Yeah, that's true.
And now they won't be able to concentrate. This is going to be very distracting.
Okay. Yeah, I see your point.
And second, most students don't like classical music.
It's certainly not what I listen to.
So are people going to stop listening to their own music?
No.
I think people are going to be even more likely to bring their MP3 player, to play their own music and block out the classical stuff.
Yeah, that makes sense.
The man expresses his opinion of the university's plan. State his opinion and explain the reasons he gives for holding that opinion.
Okay. So let's talk about that, that conversation we just heard. So first of all, was the student against or in favor of this change? Do you guys remember?
He is against.
Exactly. He's against the change. He doesn't like the idea of playing classical music in the cafeteria. Now, can you guys tell me why? What was the first reason the student gives? Why is he against?
The music distracted the student of to study for their test.
Okay. So yes, that's right. Anything else you want to say for that first reason? Okay, then what about the second reason? Why else is he against this change? What was the second reason?
The students don't or doesn't like the music, the classic music.
Okay, good. Students don't like classical music, so what will happen? Anything else that's said there that was important? I think an important idea was that if they don't like classical music, then what are they gonna do, right? They're probably gonna bring their MP3 players even more, so they're not really gonna connect with each other, right? Do you agree with me?
Yeah, you're right.
So, okay, that's it. It's still not, I mean, our notes are not that extent, right? But they are longer than we have from the reading. So that's pretty much it. Any questions about the notes or the listening part, the conversation? Okay. Now, if you guys remember what the question was, maybe we can play this part again. I think it was here. Let's hear it.
The man expresses his opinion of the university's plan. State his opinion and explain the reasons he gives for holding that opinion.
Okay. So that is the question they ask. It says the man expresses his opinion of the university's plan, state his opinion and explain the reasons he gives for holding or having that opinion, right? So if you notice, the question is only asking you about the student, right? The man is the student, by the way. So the question is not really asking you about the university. They don't say anything at all about the university. Does that mean that you don't have to talk about the university in your response? No, it doesn't mean that. What it means is that the student, the conversation, the listening is way more important than the reading, okay? And I want you guys to remember that. Believe it or not, a lot of students make the mistake of spending half their response, 30 seconds or 40 out of their 60, just talking about the reading, okay? That's a terrible idea. The listening is more important, so you're gonna spend more time talking about the listening, the conversation, okay? So this is what we're gonna do. Here's our plan. This is the template that I have. We're gonna see what you need to do when you answer this question. Let's see. Okay. So the first thing that you need, I mean, the structure of it is gonna be an introduction, a short one transition, and then the body of your response. Okay, introduction, transition, and body. You don't need a conclusion, so don't worry about it. Introduction, transition, and body. In your introduction, what you're gonna do is basically to summarize the reading. The introduction is for you to summarize the reading, the announcement. Now, what you need to say is focus on those three things that we talked about. So you need to focus specifically on the change, describing the change, and the reasons that the university gives. Now, these reasons are gonna be optional, so I'm gonna put them in parentheses, because you don't need to say them, but if it depends on how much time you usually have. I want you to practice, see if you can make it in time to say those reasons. If you feel that you're wasting too much time in the introduction with those reasons, then that's okay. But if you feel that you're able to summarize them well and you think it's more complete that way, then you go ahead and use them. It depends, okay? I'm also gonna hear some of you speak today, so I'll let you know, but you need to also kind of see for yourselves. So basically in your introduction, you're gonna say something like this. The university has decided to, and then you mention the change. In this case, has decided to play classical music during meal times. That's the change. If you have time, you say the reason. So you say, in order for students to relax or have a relaxing time and connect with each other. So do you see how my introduction is only one sentence, right? It's not more than one sentence. It shouldn't be longer than one sentence, okay? A lot of students add transitions in there. They make like 2 or 3 sentences for the intro. It's not the goal. You need to make it as summarized as it can be. So the university has decided to play classical music in the cafeterias in order for students to relax and connect more with each other. That is it.
Can you repeat? Can you
Yes,
repeat how say the reasons on introduction or
of course, yes. So first thing, they need to be summarized, right? That's why I only extracted 2 words from the reasons. My first reason was relax, and the second was connect. So you're just gonna use those keywords. You could say the word since if you want, which basically means because. But look at this. If I say since, how it's gonna be? It's gonna say, I'm gonna say, the university has decided to play classical music since they want their students to connect more with each other and have a more relaxing atmosphere. So when I use because, I'm using they want to, right? I need another subject, another verb. So that's why in this case, I decided to go with in order. So I'm saying the university has decided to play classical music in order for their students to connect and relax more, right? So it depends. You can use both. Both are okay. Just go with what you think is faster, easier. And that's basically, right? A few words. I'm saying in order for students to connect more and relax or have a relaxing atmosphere. So I'm just kind of putting the words together that I got from the reading. Okay. Remember that the reasons are optional. You don't need to have them. We're gonna see, depends on how much time you spend. A lot of people get a struggle here, and that's why sometimes I say, well, it's better if you just leave that part, because if you're gonna take too long, then you're wasting time. Your introduction should be about 10 seconds at most. Okay, sometimes 15, but that will be even too long. 10 seconds, I'd say, is the ideal time. So is that okay now, the introduction?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, guys. So the next thing that you need to say is a transition. You need to have a short transition in which you're gonna tell me the student's opinion. So this transition is gonna be about 5 seconds, okay? In your transition, you're gonna use the word meanwhile. I really like this word. You can change it if you want. I like it because it's neutral. You can use it no matter if the student is against or in favor, okay? That's why I like it, but you can change it if you want. So you have that transition, and then you tell me the student's opinion. So you say, meanwhile, the student doesn't advocate this idea, which basically means the student doesn't like this idea. If you want, you can change it. You can make it simpler. That's okay. It's not going to be a big deal. So you can say the student is not in favor of this, hates this idea, or thinks it's not going to work. The student doesn't agree with the university. Many options, okay? But you need to state the student's opinion. Okay, remember, even in the question, they ask you, state the student's opinion and explain the reasons. So you have your transition and the opinion that the student has. Any questions there? The transition part? Okay, so the introduction and the transition, both of them need to be about 15 to at most 20 seconds, okay? I would try to do it in 15, but you even could do it in 20 and it will be okay. If you go over 20, then that's a problem. Now then you need to start explaining the student's reasons. So that is the most important part. You're going to spend 40 seconds just talking about the student's opinion, the student's reasons. So you can use 20 for the first reason and 20 for the second. In the first reason, you need to explain a little bit more. You're not going to be as brief as you were in the introduction, of course. So for the student, you're going to take your time. You're going to say, first, the student states that, so notice how I'm using these reporting verbs, right? The student states, the student believes. Just memorize those two and you're okay. So the student states that they are not really looking for time to relax during meal times. Instead, they want to study and prepare for exams or complete assignments. Therefore, this will just be a distraction for them. So I'm having 2 sentences explaining a little bit more. That is the first reason. And then the second reason, the same thing, you have your transition, you say, in addition, in this case, it's a male student, so he, in addition, he believes that the second reason, right? I think it was not all students like classical music. Therefore, they are more likely to even bring their MP3 players more in order to black out the classical music. So the university's goal of having their students connect is not really going to be achieved. And that's your second reason. You know, I'm trying to explain as much as I can, but trying to summarize it too. So there you go, first and second reason, and that's it.
Teacher,
Yes.
this task need the conclusion, or you can say 1 reason and 2 reasons students believe and done?
Yes, I mean, generally speaking, in the speaking section, you don't need conclusions, okay? It's not gonna make a difference, but if you have extra time, if you look at your stopwatch, you still have 5-10 seconds, of course you can do something, right? So you can go with a conclusion, a short one, say something like, this is why the student is not in favor of this idea. This is why the student doesn't think that this is gonna work. So you're just kind of closing your ideas. It's not gonna make a difference, but it could fill out that space that you have. So it's optional. If you have extra time, you can go with a short conclusion, but if not, it's totally okay. You don't need one. Okay. Any other
Okay,
question? Okay. Actually, guys, one thing I forgot to say, when you're taking notes, as soon as you hear the students speak, also one more thing that you can do is write down the pronoun. For example, I wrote down he, right? Because it's a male student. Sometimes you have female and male students speaking. So it's important to identify who is the one with the strong position, right? In this case, it was the male student. So you need to be really careful about that. It's quite easy to get confused and say she, he, she. So you're kind of mixing up the pronouns. Try to always make sure that you identify who is the one that matters and the pronoun, okay? So if it's a male student, then you say he. If it's a female, you say she, okay? Even if that sounds like, but you need to do that. Any questions then? Okay, then I'm gonna try to do it with the template. I'm gonna put together everything I remember from the material so that you can see how I organize my time, okay, mostly. I just want you to look at how I'm organizing my time. So here's a stopwatch. I'm gonna put it 1 minute. Okay, here I go. So the university has decided to play classical music during meal times in order for students to relax and connect more with each other. Meanwhile, the student doesn't advocate with this idea at all. First of all, he states that students are not really looking for a time to relax during meal times. Instead, they want to prepare for exams that they have or study. Therefore, this music is just going to be a distraction for them. In addition, the student believes that not everybody likes classical music. In fact, many of the students don't like this type of music or this genre, which means that they are even more likely to bring their own MP3 players in order to black out the classical music that's playing on the background. So the university's goal of having their students connected is not really going to be achieved. And this is why the student is not in favor of this idea at all. Okay? So I know it wasn't perfect. It wasn't exactly like 20-20-20, but I tried to hurry up at the beginning. If you notice, my introduction was only 10 seconds. It was one sentence. I had my transition, the first reason of the student's second reason too. I took my time, right? I don't know if like it worked, but I tried to speak calmly and just explain what the student said. I was constantly looking at the timer. I don't know if you are able to see, but I am looking at the timer constantly, and I'm saying, okay, I still have a lot of time, so I'm just gonna continue explaining. So it all depends on the amount of time that you have. If you feel that, okay, you just have 10 seconds, then you need to hurry up. But if you still have more time, then you can continue explaining. So it depends, okay? It all depends. I use those reporting verbs. They are in the simple present. If you notice, I'm not saying the student is stated, believed. Nope, they are in the simple present. And yeah, I think that's it. Is it okay? Do we have any questions now? Any questions?
It's a clear for me.
Okay, guys. So we're gonna practice then. You guys are gonna try. By the way, one tip I can give you, careful with the grammar, specifically with the tenses that you use. A lot of students, I don't know, they're not aware of the tenses. They don't know what tense to use. Remember, this is a future plan, right? It's something that's gonna happen in the future, or it could be a proposal, right? If it's a proposal, then you're probably gonna use conditional. So you're gonna say, okay, so if they played classical music, then students wouldn't concentrate. And if it's a plan, then maybe you can just use the future tense, right? The way I did. So I am saying students won't enjoy classical music, or students will bring their MP3 players. So careful with those tenses. It's important to be aware. Okay. We're gonna do another one. I wanna look at a different structure. Well, not structure, but a different perspective. So this is the one we're gonna do. You have it on my screen. This is the reading. I'll give you 45 seconds to read this. You can start now. Okay, now you'll hear the conversation. So take notes and pay attention.
Now listen to two students discussing the letter.
Mary, you're an art student. What do you think of this letter?
I don't like the idea.
Why not?
Well, first of all, his first point about a lot of people passing through the student center, that's true, but it's always really crowded with people coming and going. It's not good for showing artwork. Imagine you're standing there, trying to look at a painting. There's going to be like a million people walking through. People walking in front of you, blocking your view, distracting you.
Yeah, I hadn't thought of that.
You won't be able to appreciate the artwork or get a good look at anything with so much going on, with so many people moving around.
Yeah, I see what you mean.
Plus, he's wrong about the windows.
But isn't it true that it's good for art to have lots of light?
In a sense, yeah. But that kind of light, all that natural light from windows, that's actually not good. Because if it's really sunny out, it'll be way too bright. If it's cloudy, it'll be way too dark.
Oh.
What you want is controlled light, consistent light, the kind you get from electric light bulbs. Think about in an art museum. In an art museum, you've got electric lighting, and the light is always carefully controlled, always at the same level.
Okay, the question is, the woman expresses her opinion of the change that has been announced. State her opinion and explain her reasons for holding that opinion. You have now 30 seconds to prepare your responses. Okay, so before you guys go, I wanted to say this is exactly the same as we just did. The only difference, the only thing that's gonna change, I don't know if you noticed, but in the letter, it wasn't the university announcing something, right? It was the student that was proposing the change. So everything will continue the same. The only thing that you could change is in the beginning, instead of saying the university has decided to, you will say, in the letter, a student proposes to. So everything's the same, you just change that first phrase, okay? So who can start? Who wants to go first? Try first. Anyone? Would anyone like to try? Come on, guys. Just give it a try. No? Maybe Josue, do you want to try?
All right, teacher. I will try. Can you hear me well? By the way.
Yep, I can hear you. Don't worry.
Okay. Oh, so okay, we start. All right. They were talking about the student art display. Okay. So the university was currently considering the possible location on the campus, so displaying paintings and other artworks by the students. So the thing is, this is Mary. She's just curious about this letter, and well, she don't like it. Why? Why she don't like it? Because it was too much people, and they say they want to put it in the I don't know what it's called. What is it in the hall? I don't know. It is this hall. They want to display it there in the center, but you know, it's going to be a lot of people and they're going to block the view. People won't appreciate it. They think it's not going to be good. And she was talking about the natural light is not good because they don't have control. Maybe someday it's cloud or something like that. And, you know, it has to be at the same level.
Okay. All right, that's why. Okay. So honestly, I mean, I noticed that you understood, like you were able to grasp the main idea of the reading and the conversation, and you can actually express it in your own words, but your response wasn't too formal, right? It wasn't like appropriate maybe to this setting. I would try to, even if you don't follow the template exactly like these words, follow the structure. It's gonna help you a lot. If you really wanna have like a high score, then you need to make your response as understandable as it can be. So your information was accurate, it was correct, but it was kind of not so organized, right? You were telling me about the change in the middle, and then you were explaining the reasons, but when you were explaining them, you were like telling me like if it's something that you think, right? You were telling me it doesn't have to be like this, it has to be electric light. But remember that these are not your opinion. These are not your ideas, right? This is the student's opinion. So you need to think of yourself like you were a reporter and you were just telling me, okay, this is what happened in the letter, and this is what happens with the student, and this is what she says, and these are the reasons that she gives, right? So try to maybe have that like a more academic response, and yeah, like I'm totally sure that you can do it. Just try to maybe follow the structure. If you don't like the template, it's okay. Just try to first a bit of context about what's going on, the change, then the student's opinion, and then the reasons. Okay, I think that can help you.
Okay, sorry, I forgot about the structure, So yeah, I will try. Thank you.
Okay, don't worry. Anyone else would like to try? Anybody else? Maybe Lynn, do you want to give it a try?
Well, I think, excuse me, teacher, it's because I didn't listen so clearly because my internet was kind of bad, but I will try, I think.
Okay, great. I got it. So what do you have?
In the letter, students propose to change. No, excuse me, teacher, I'm so confused right now, but...
Really? Okay,
yeah.
look. Okay, maybe I can explain this very quickly. So, okay, very quickly. So remember from the reading, you're looking at three things, right? This reading is going to be an announcement that the university is making, or in this case, it was a proposal by a student. So you need to first identify what the change is, what's going to change. In this case, they are looking, well, they want to display the student art in the lobby, right? That is the change. The lobby at the entrance would be a great location to displaying paintings. So that would be the change, displaying paintings or the student's artwork in the lobby. That is the proposal. And then you need to identify the two reasons, right? Does anyone know what the two reasons were here?
Yeah, the center location and the lobby entrance. No.
That is the change, right? That is the suggestion. The student thinks that they should display the paintings in the lobby. But why? What are the reasons that the student gives? Anyone? Why should it be located there?
Because in the front of the building, it's made of glass window, maybe? Yes.
Okay, yes. So that means that the art is going to have a lot of natural light, right? According to the student.
Yeah.
Because of this. Okay. So that is the second reason, you're right. So according to the student, it's a good place because of the natural light that it has. And the first reason was that a lot of people pass through that lobby, right? So a lot of people are going to be appreciating the art. It's going to be viewed by hundreds of people, right? That's the first reason. Okay, so those are the two reasons. Now, in your introduction, that's what you need to summarize for me. So you need to tell me, where are we? You need to tell me. In the letter, a student proposes to display the painting in the lobby, right? That's the change. And then you tell me the reason. So you tell me, since it has a lot of natural light and the second reason, right? It's gonna be viewed by hundreds of people.
Yeah.
That's the introduction. And then you need to tell me everything from the conversation. First, you need to tell me if the student was in favor or against this idea. Do you remember?
All right. I already get it. I know how to do.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you want to try now?
No, this time no. For the next time, please.
Okay. Anybody wants to try then? Okay. Well, maybe, okay, I can try maybe if you want. Would you want me to try, or is it okay? Is it understood? Do you want me to give you an example? Yeah. Nope. No answer? Okay.
For me, it's okay, teacher, but it's only that I can't, I'm a little nervous, and so I'm very confused to do this example, and that's because you know that I always want to participate, but today.
Yeah, I know. So yeah, I just want to make sure that it's clear, because if it's not, then there's no point, right? So I want you guys to let me know if there's something that's not so clear, maybe about the structure, maybe just a complicated task. Unfortunately, we don't have that much time right now, but tomorrow you're going to be practicing this with just money. So if it is still not clear, if you have any questions, you can, write it out in the group chat. Maybe I can even send you a video or an audio of a sample response, but you have to let me know, because otherwise there's no way that I can help. Okay. So do you have any questions then about what we've seen today? Is there any questions, any comments? Is it okay?
For me, it's clear.
Okay, Rafaela. What about the rest of you guys? Any questions?
Hey, Andrea, I was wondering, do you have another template that we can use? Because I had that problem, when I'm trying to explain my, a few things. I just talk and I forget about how it's supposed to go, the structure. And well, maybe you can give me a hand with that.
Okay, so the template, we can change it. I mean, I can even try to make it simpler. But what I would suggest is that you keep the structure, because that's usually the structure that you need to have. There's no other way. So you need an introduction always. And in the introduction, you need to give context. So the context would be what's happening with the reading. So maybe we can change the words. Maybe we can make it easier, more like simpler, in a way that maybe in the introduction, we could say something like, from the reading, something simpler, from the reading, and then you describe the change, right? So from the reading, music is gonna be played in the cafeterias. So that's gonna be simple. You can skip the reasons if you want, because they are not necessary, but they help you make more sense. Then for the student, we can put it in simple words. We could say, however, which is bad, right? The student doesn't like this idea. So it is still the same, but it's simpler words. And then what I do think that you have to have is these reporting verbs. So they're kind of inevitable. You could say says, right? So he says that, that's simpler. But I don't know, it's better for vocabulary if you use other verbs. But you could for sure say she says, he says, and you'd still need those transitions. We can also change these and just say because, right, to make it simpler. But honestly, what I think is you don't need a template. You're gonna have to use the template for the first practices that you do. But once you know the structure, you know that, okay, for like the first 20 seconds is my intro and the transition, then the student's reasons, you won't need a template anymore. It's going to be more natural than that. You're going to know what you have to say. So little by little, you're going to be leaving the template behind. It's just that you try to follow the structures I'm saying. That's it. That's the point of templates, just to have a structure and kind of have an idea of how much time you should be spending in each part. But the words, you can change them. You can make it simpler if you want, you know? So, so follow the structure. Don't focus too much on the words.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Anything else before we go?
No, I think that it's already clear, everything.
Okay, guys. So I'm sending the daily survey. Please don't forget to complete that. And I'll see you next class.
Thank you. Have a good night.
Thanks, Rafaela, you too.
Thank you, teacher. Goodbye. I'm sorry for
Bye.
couldn't do the exercise. I'm
Don't worry.
so bad.
You're practicing. No, don't worry. It's
Good.
okay. Yeah, it took me a while to understand. So
All right.
see you
Good night,
next.
teacher.
Goodbye.